Russian President Vladimir Putin has once again extended an invitation to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky for direct talks in Moscow, a recurring theme in the ongoing conflict. This latest invitation comes amidst continuous military operations and intense diplomatic maneuvering, underscoring a complex and often contradictory approach from the Kremlin. The repeated overture for a meeting, despite the absence of any significant breakthrough in previous peace attempts, reflect a consistent element of Russia's strategy to position itself as open to dialogue while simultaneously pursuing its objective on the battlefield. From Moscow's perspective, direct talks with Kyiv, bypassing extensive international mediation, are the preferred route for resolving the conflict, albeit on terms largely dictated by Russia. These invitations are often framed with the implication that Ukraine's refusal indicates a lack of genuine interest in peace, a narrative frequently propagated by state-controlled media within Russia. The primary reason for President Putin's profound distrust of Ukraine, particularly its leadership and its close ties with Western nations, is deeply rooted in a historical and geopolitical narrative embraced by the Kremlin. This narrative portrayed Ukraine not as a fully sovereign and independent nation, but rather as a state heavily influenced, if not controlled, by external Western powers. Putin consistently expressed a belief that Ukraine has become a tool in a larger geopolitical struggle orchestrated by the United States and its European allies to undermine Russia's security and diminish its influence in the region. This perspective views Ukraine's aspirations for closer integration with Nato and the European Union as an existential threat to Russia, crossing what Moscow considers its vital red lines of national security. The historical ties between Russia and Ukraine are often invoked to assert a shared cultural and historical space, implying that Ukraine's Western orientation is an unnatural deviation. Furthermore, Putin's distrust extends to what he frequently labeled the West's liberal dictatorship. This term is not a casual remark, but a deliberate ideological construct used to delegitimize Western democratic systems and policies in the eyes of a domestic and international audience. According to the Kremlin's narrative, Western democracies, while outwardly promoting values of freedom, human rights, and rule of law, are in reality governed by a hypocritical elite that imposes its will through economic pressure, media manipulations, and political interference in other nations' affairs. This view suggests that these liberal dictatorships suppress dissenting voices within their own societies and dictate terms to other countries under the guise of promoting democracy. From this vantage point, any proposals or diplomatic initiatives originating from Western capitals or from a Western-aligned Ukraine are automatically viewed with suspicion, seen as thinly veiled attempts to advance a hostile agenda against Russia rather than genuine efforts toward equitable peace or cooperation. This ingrained distrust fundamentally shapes Russia's approach to the conflict in Ukraine and any potential peace negotiations. For Putin, Ukraine's leadership is perceived as lacking true autonomy, acting instead as proxies for Western interests. These belief systems make genuine and mutually agreeable compromise exceedingly difficult, as Moscow views Ukraine's demands as originating from external adversaries rather than from a sovereign partner. Therefore, any offer of a ceasefire or a peace plan from Kyiv, especially if supported by Western nations, is often interpreted by Russia as a tactical ploy or an attempt to gain military advantage rather than a sincere move towards de-escalation. This profound skepticism is a significant impediment to finding common ground and achieving a lasting resolution. The Kremlin also maintains that the West, through its support for Ukraine, is actively seeking to destabilize Russia and ultimately bring about regime change. This fear of external interference and perceived existential threat is a powerful motivator for Russia's action and its hardened stance. The consistent portrayal of Western nations as liberal dictatorship further solidifies the narrative that these powers are inherently adversarial and cannot be trusted to act in good faith. This ideological framework allows Moscow to justify its military action as defensive measures against perceived Western aggression and to dismiss criticisms from international bodies as biased and politically motivated. Given this deep-seated distrust and ideological opposition, President Putin's repeated invitations to President Zelensky for talks in Moscow are often viewed by observers outside Russia with skepticism. While ostensibly appearing as calls for peace, they are widely interpreted as strategic maneuvers. These invitations serve to place the onus of rejecting peace on Ukraine and its Western backers, thereby bolstering Russia's narrative that it is the peace-seeking party while the other side is intransigent. Simultaneously, they maintain diplomatic pressure and aim to create divisions within the international coalition supporting Ukraine. Until the fundamental issues of distrust and conflicting geopolitical visions are addressed, the cycle of invitations, rejections, and continued conflict is likely to persist, making genuine progress toward peace a distant prospect. The intertwined military and diplomatic fronts of this conflict continue to evolve against a backdrop of deeply entrenched historical grievance and ideological divides. That's all for me for today. If you like the video presentation and you would like to follow for more, hit that subscribe and like button now, and we will continue to build this show for you. Thank you to all of you guys who have subscribed. It means a lot to me. Thank you so much. I will see you soon. Bye for now.